Hello guys, welcome to the 3D market commentary for today. My name is Becky, for those that maybe this might be the first time you've watched these videos. My email address is becky@tradictive.com, you've got that there. And we've also got support@tradictive.com, so you can email us on either one of those if you have any questions. Now let's just make sure we cover the disclaimers. They are the top left hand corner. Please do read them. I won't read them to you, so if you do need to pause the video to read it, then by all means do that. Now, a 3D market commentary, what is it for those that might be new to this? We send out an email every day to our free members that has information on major world markets, looking at 3 different elements, 3 different statistical probabilities per market. So we send that out as an email, and then we do this video to expand on it, explain it, give it a little bit more context. So I'll show you that to you in a sec. Now, I just want to point your attention to this link. It's tradewithufos.com/Becky. From this link, you can get different apps and platforms, some of which are free. You can scroll down and book one-on-one coaching if you want to. Or you can come down here, you can log in for free, and you can ask questions in this public space, which we then answer in this public space. Now that's great for everybody because it means that we can all learn from this place together. Everything's out in the open, transparent for everybody to see. So ideally, that's where you'd go for questions. If not, you can email me, of course. Okay, so let me show you that email that we send out every day. So it looks like this, and obviously it's relevant to market data. So we've got the charts on the right-hand side as well. So, as I said, it's a 3D approach because we're looking at 3 separate elements, 3 different statistical probabilities for our markets. Now, the first element is what we call market climate. What that means is, where do we have probabilities? What's the upcoming market direction likely to be? Is it likely to be going up? Is it likely to be going down? Or is it unlikely to go in either direction? Or at least we wouldn't have much probability in either direction. Now, we use apps in everything that we do. We call this one AutoClimate. It's a free app on most platforms that you can get it on. And what AutoClimate does is it runs a bunch of analysis for us and comes back and tells us where the probabilities lie, up, down, or nowhere. So if we had a thick blue dot on our AutoClimate, that tells us probability is upwards. If we had a thick red dot on AutoClimate, that tells us probabilities downwards. If we had a thin dot of either colour, tells us not enough probability either way. And so it's one of 3 answers, and then it gives us an idea of whether or not we buy, sell, or do nothing. So we'll look at that per market, where the probabilities lie, up, down, or nowhere. We then come and look at buy and sell UFOs. UFO stands for unfilled order, but essentially what we're looking at here are where are lots of buyers and where are lots of sellers. Now, why do we want to know that? Because lots of buyers are likely to push the price up. Lots of sellers are likely to push the price down. So we want to know where they are specifically, so we can figure out more specifically where we also buy and sell. Now again, we use an app for this. It's called AutoUFOs. If we see these little green UFOs, they show us where the buyers are, and it tells us the prices, the range of price, where we find lots of these buyers. Now we want to know where these are because, as we can see with this one, price came into these buyers and was pushed up, came back into these buyers and was pushed up. That's what we expect buyers to do, is push price up. So we want to know where they are, and using an app that highlights to us where they are tells us where we should be more likely to be buying and selling. If it's a little red UFO, with again the prices on the right hand side, that tells us where the sellers are and therefore where price is likely to come down from. And again, we see it here. Price came into these sellers and were pushed down, came into these sellers and were pushed down, and again. So again, we want to know where they are because we get an idea of where price is likely to actually fall from. So we'll look at that per market as well. And then the last thing is more simple. We're just looking at market volatility, meaning how quickly do we expect these markets to move. So we'll look at that per market, starting with the S&P 500. Now the S&P 500 are the top 500 US stocks, for those that might not know. Top 500 US stocks is called the S&P 500. It's the index of them. Now, everything that we're looking at here is relevant to daily charts. So different things happen on different time frames, but what we're looking at here is a daily chart where each of these candles represents a day's worth of trading. So with the S&P 500, we can see we have a confirmed downwards climate. We have a thick red dot there on our auto climate, basically probability down. Now we also have sellers above us here between 4808.25 to 4747.50 or 0.5. Those have pushed price down. We have buyers down here, quite a way down actually, at 4479.75 to 4436.25. So we've got a bit of room there for price to continue to come down before it hits buyers that might push it back up again. So overall, on a daily chart, the S&P 500, top 500 US stocks, has probability to the downside for the time being. Now, when it comes to volatility, we would expect that the S&P would move up or down in 1 year by 19.77%. So in a day, that would be up or down of 58.5 points. In a week, 128.79 points up or down. And in a month, 268.09 points up or down. So that's the S&P 500. Now moving on to the next market. Remember, we look at 5 markets in these news flashes. We are looking at crude oil. That's the next one. Now, as I load this, just to bring your attention to these 2 things either side of crude oil here, we've got our courses and different education packages that you can browse there. We do courses in futures, stocks, forex, backtesting, trading plans, and psychology. So you can browse those and see which one makes more sense to you. Now, most of them come with a 3-month complimentary access to the apps. AutoClimate is a free app on most platforms. You can get it on anyway. AutoUFOs are a paid for monthly subscription. Depending on which platform you use, depends on how much it costs per month. You can subscribe directly to the UFOs. You don't have to do a course. You can just get the UFOs, which are this app that tells you where the buyers and sellers are. So you can subscribe directly to it. You don't have to get a course. But actually, most of the time, taking a course and getting 3 months access to the apps for free is actually cheaper than it would be to just have the apps. So check that out if you're interested in the apps. It might be a cheaper way of doing it. Okay, so crude oil. We have a thick blue dot, probability there to the upside, a confirmed upwards climate, probability up. However, something we need to be aware of here with crude oil, let me just squish this down so we can see it, is we have just hit, literally just, a bunch of sellers. There are lots of sellers here between 82.33 to 79.3. So if we have lots of sellers coming in, they have the potential to change the probability of where price is going to go. So what we have here is a fight going on. We've got buyers pushing up coming from the climate, and we have sellers pushing down coming from the UFO. So essentially they kind of negate each other. They cancel each other out. I would argue I wouldn't be getting involved in this. There's a fight going on. I don't want to get in the middle of that. Let whoever's going to win, and then jump on that was what I would normally do. Otherwise, it's more of a gamble. You're just guessing which side has the more orders, more buyers or more sellers. Hard to tell when they're fighting each other like this. In terms of volatility for oil, we would expect it to move up or down in 1 year by 44.49%. So in a day, that's up or down of 2.22 points. In a week is 4.88 points. And in a month, 10.16 points up or down. So that's crude oil. The next market is gold. Let's have a look at gold. And again, as I load this, just to bring your attention down here to the coaching and support, we do offer a lot of coaching and support for free. We do many sessions on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, where we are streaming, and we are doing sessions on stocks, futures, forex, options, sharpening sessions where we go through theory, and a lot of them are accessible for free. We do have a closed coaching community, which is a small monthly fee that people pay to get access to more of our time in a closed environment. The content is the same. To be honest, we're doing the same thing. It's just how much more time you get is the difference with our paid for versus our free coaching. Okay, so gold, we have an unconfirmed climate. We have a thin dot there on our auto climate, an unconfirmed climate. What that means is we don't have enough probability either way, so no point doing anything. If we're trading, we want to buy something and it goes up from there, or sell something and it goes down from there. If we don't have enough probability either up or down, then again it's a gamble. We're just pressing buy or sell for the sake of it. Best to keep away when we don't have clear probabilities. Now we do have buyers down here that once they're hit, that could change things. They are between 1781.3 to 1753. Now we would expect if price were to come and hit these buyers, it would be pushed up from there. Price would be pushed up from there. So we'll see when they hit them, or if they hit them. We have sellers up here further away than the buyers are at 1873.3 to 1844.2. So that's gold. Overall, not enough probability either way. We'll have to wait over the next few days and see what happens with these buyers. In terms of volatility for gold, we would expect that in 1 year, gold would move up or down by 16.21%. So in a day, that's 18.4 points up or down. In a week, 40.51 points. And in a month, 84.34 points up or down. So that's gold. The next market is the US dollar. Now, as I load the US dollar, just to be clear here, that everything that we're looking at is to do with statistics and probabilities, but not guarantees. Nothing is guaranteed. Kind of says it in the disclaimers at the start, but just to make it clear verbally. Just because something is more likely to happen doesn't mean that it will. So we still need to manage our risk just in case we're wrong, and we still might even add in more layers on top of this to increase our probabilities and give us more chance of being right. But as traders, you don't want to be trading something where you don't at least have more probability to be right than wrong. So coming back to what we're looking at here, which is the US dollar. The US dollar has a thin dot there on the auto climate. Again, an unconfirmed climate, meaning not enough probabilities either way. We don't want to be doing anything with the US dollar at the moment. Now, we saw at the start, we have buyers that have worked a couple of times already to have pushed price up. Oh, like that. Now they're between 95.595 to 94.965. We have sellers that we've just hit that again have worked a couple of times there and there to push price down. They are between 96.67 to 96.33. So these sellers that have just started to push price down might push price down far enough that we start to get probability to the downside. For the time being, keep out of something that doesn't have clear probabilities either way. In terms of volatility for the US dollar, this is the least volatile of all the markets we look at. It would move up or down in a year by 5.45%. So in a day, that's 0.33 points up or down. In a week, 0.73 points up or down. And in a month, 1.51 points up or down. So that's the US dollar. Last but not least, let's move on to the final market, which is Bitcoin. As I load Bitcoin, again, to point your attention down here to our platform, it's called TOP. Stands for Tradictive Options Planner, although you can use it not just for options but for stocks and futures, and you can use it for analysis purposes for Forex as well. So check that out. It has all of our apps integrated in it, so it might be a more efficient way to be using these things. So with backed Bitcoin, we have a thick red dot here. Confirmed downwards climate, probability downwards. Now, we have sellers just above us as well, between 47,610 to 45,705. And we've got buyers quite a way down at 32,820 to 31,615. So probability down from the climate, sellers closer to us, buyers further away, and therefore more probability to the downside here. Probability down for Bitcoin at the moment. Now, Bitcoin is the most volatile of the markets that we look at. It can change a lot as well. Obviously, sometimes we've seen it double in weeks, and we've seen it half in weeks as well. But when it comes to what we expect at the moment, we would expect a yearly move of 73.98%. So in a day, that is 1,997.64 points, or this is against the US dollar, so call it that amount of dollars worth movement. In a week, it would be 4,397.6, and in a month, it would be 9,154.33. So again, that's movement up or down within those given periods of time. So excuse me there. We've looked at each of our 5 markets. For each of them, what we've looked at is market climate using our Auto Climate app, free on most platforms you can get it on, which tells us where the probabilities are, where that market is likely to move. Did we have a thick red dot and therefore probability was down? Did we have a thick, I'm going to draw one, a thick blue dot and therefore probability was up? Or did we have a thin dot of either colour and therefore probability was nowhere? So we've looked at that per market. What we've also looked at are buy and sell UFOs, meaning where do we have buyers and where do we have sellers that could push price up or down respectively and give us an idea of where we should be buying and selling. And then we've looked at market volatility, which is how quickly we expect these markets to move or how far we expect them to move within given periods of time. Now, last thing to look at would be our weekly economic calendar. We get this from fxstreet.com, and what we do is we filter by high impact news. Essentially what we're looking at here are the scheduled news reports that are likely to have a high impact on the markets, meaning make them move more, increase volatility. With increased volatility comes increased risk, potentially increased reward as well. So as traders, we want to know what might be increasing volatility, and news can obviously have that effect. So we filter by high impact news, and we would look at, so for example, today being Thursday. By the way, to those that celebrate it, happy Day of the Kings today, or Dia de los Reyes. Thursday, January the 6th, we have some news out. I think this is Colombia, if I've got that flag right, could be very wrong. So if you trade there might be things today. We've also got some news out early in the morning US on the euro and on the US dollar. That could affect those markets and affect those stock markets as well. And then later on, some things in Russia. It's Orthodox Christmas Day today in Russia by the looks of it, which again might affect those markets if you trade them. So be aware of that. Depending on which markets you trade, obviously depends on what's more relevant to you. So hopefully this made sense. Essentially, again, it was going through the email that we send out to our free members where they get this every day, giving it a little bit more context, explaining what's going on behind the scenes. And you can come to tradewithufos.com/Becky, log in for free and ask questions here if you have any questions, so I can answer them here and everybody can learn from this space. If you're not so comfortable to do that, you can email me, becky@tradictive.com. Always happy to help, always happy to answer any questions. I will leave you for today, guys. We'll have a session later on today. It might be futures or options. I can't remember off the top of my head, so check that out on our calendar, which is tradewithufos.com/live. Otherwise, I'll be back tomorrow for another market commentary, so I will see you then. Have a great trading day, have a great end to your trading week, and I will see you tomorrow. Take care.